Hi there. How you guys doing? Yep. So, what are we talking about today? Why dogs behaving like jerks? Really? You know what? Sometimes they really do, but most of the times they don't. I'm going to talk about a little bit why are they behaving like jerks, or are they not really behaving like jerks? Maybe they have important reasons why they do that. So, if you can hear me loud and clear, give me a thumbs up. You can comment in the comments where you're from, where you're looking from, and your dog breed that you're working with, and if your dog actually is behaving like jerk, because we're going to answer a couple of questions. So first of all, here's Roman with Holistic Dog Training, and we are talking about dogs and while having a coffee. So first of all, how many of you guys have seen situations like this? How many of you guys have seen a situation like this? How many of you guys have dogs who are behaving like this? And how many of you would love to have a crate like this? Because your dog is an escape artist. Yeah, right? So I was being on on Facebook today, actually this morning, and first thing I noticed is that many people was getting back to work, and they come back home and have a disaster. The dogs are fighting. The dog's chewing on the stuff. I had somebody actually telling me that she was actually watching the video. Their dog is taking apart the couch. Ouch. But the other one is also, hi Kim, how you guys doing? Love it. He is totally to my other Pyrenees when in house but not outside. We're going to talk about that. So we have to kind of understand the dogs really struggle with things. And even if it doesn't make sense to us, there's a reason why dogs behave that way. So we're going to talk about a few things that we're going to talk about today is separation anxiety, attachment issues. We're going to talk about aggression, and we're going to talk about jumping and barking. Yeah, you figure it out. We talked about everything, right? So in this little session we have today, about half an hour, we're going to keep it short. We will talk about pretty much everything from a completely different perspective. I would like you kind of to open up your mind for a moment, take things that you know, and you're 100% sure they're like this. You put them in a box, mine, put it on the side, and just open your mind a little bit to just listen. You don't have to agree, you don't have to disagree, but maybe you should see my version of it and see how you resonate with it. So I'm Roman with Holistic Dog Training. I'm a holistic trainer and certified dog trainer and holistic behaviorist. And so I'm seeing things from a different angle. I'm seeing things that are multidimensional. We have the dimension here, 3-dimensional, and we have other dimensions out there that we haven't looked at yet. We have emotions, we have trauma, we have ancestors, we have genetics, we have nutrition, we have all these things that affect our dog's environment, and we need to kind of being aware of that before we actually pull the card and says, my dog is this or my dog is that. And I think many behaviors and trainers falling into that trap to buy into people's drama. So a person has a drama that tells a story, and then a dog has a story, but he doesn't talk about it. So what we do usually, we listen to the person telling their drama, and then we forget to ask the question of the dog. So I'm going to call out today some things that you should look out for. Let's say, for example, many times now that people leave the house, the dog's being reactive. They get upset, and actually I have my own example on that. I'm going to talk about this. And we have to go. right? We need to leave right now. I have an appointment at 10. I have to go. So what exactly do? We take the dog, we secure him. Some people use crates, some people use confinement, people use doors, gates. People just leave the dogs in the house, right? Some people even leave the dogs outside. And there is a ritual that happens there, and the dog has figured that out. If you grab your keys, if you grab your bag, if you put your shoes on, if you do certain gestures and techniques in the house, the dog knows one and one and one. Here she goes, here he goes, they're leaving. And that starts a whole process in the dog's body. Try to understand exactly what's going to happen next. So dogs are reactive, okay? And they see and they respond to certain things that happen right that moment. But then they have this memory, okay? This episodic memory. Remember, have you guys ever watched Dallas? I mean, I'm kind of a Dallas generation, right? Where J.R. Ewing is picking up the phone and talk to his brother, and you know exactly what's going to happen next, right? It's kind of, you have seen that movie again. It's because you understand the story, you see the patterns, and now you can predict what's going to happen next. Oh my God, he's going to get drunk. Boom, right there. You think about it, right? And yet he doesn't. And all of a sudden you get surprised. Like, what happened? Did he change or something? So dogs have episodic memory and they rely on that. Very good. And so when they see things, a pattern coming in, they know how it's going to end. Now, dogs don't have the logic that we expect them to do. They're not so advanced to know that you're going to work if you leave the house. They're not psychics, right? But they have positive thinking patterns and they have negative thinking patterns. It's kind of like saying my coffee mug is half empty or my coffee mug is half full. Should I worry that I'm running out of coffee, or do I still have enough coffee until the end of the show? So how about you guys? Do you think your dog has negative thinking patterns? Does he usually think bad things rather than good things? Let's give you an example. Somebody knocks at the door. My guys are quiet. What would your dog think is going to happen next? Is the bad guy at the door going to take over the house, kill everyone? Or is the dog friendly and thinking, oh my God, this must be fun? Oh, Bugsy. Oh, what's going to happen? Yeah, this is correct. The dog thinks in the moment. But what is the moment? The moment is framed by an idea. I am here in danger or in safety. So even the dog is in the moment, there's a filter before that where he perceives that moment as dangerous or safe. And that causes a whole complex thinking processes. Try the dog to evaluate, is he at risk or not to die? So dogs do things for two main reasons, either to survive or to thrive. So what do you guys think? Yep, dog thinks in the moment. Yours is barking, perfect. Your puppy is barking to tell someone is at the door, okay. Then what else do we have? I think they need to protect. Yeah, they have all these thoughts, and those thoughts are being, those characteristics are being assembled by multiple factors. The main factor is genetic. You thought. No, the main factor is not genetics. The main factor are environmental factors. Genetic is only one factor. So if we look at what makes a dog character, is 43% genetics and 57% environmental factors, plus minus 1%. Don't pick me on this one, right? And so we need to understand that the first response, the dog will behave as likely as his breed traits are assembled. However, each dog is a sentient being, an individual, and he perceives his environment as individual, all these individual environments, the different location, the different age, the different sex, the different home, the different food, all these things make the dog feel different. And so each behavior is unique. but it has similar patterns. A dog will bark. He will not meow and he will not fly. Okay? The dog will not behave like a horse. It will behave like a dog. We humans behave like humans. So we behave like our species. So even we can expect certain things to happen, the dog still has individual choice to do specific things. Now, we cannot generalize those things. So if your dog, for example, tries to get out of the crate and he scratches and he barks to get out of the crate, A, is not aggressive, and B, he doesn't want just to get out. That's what it looks like. What he is internally going on, this is what we are looking for here. So we're looking at the dog, he's being in a panic attack. He has to move, number one, fight or flight response, and then he needs to feel safe. So the reason why he does this behavior is not just because he wants to get out, it's because he wants to feel safe. And in the crate, he doesn't feel safe. In the crate, he's supposed to feel safe, but he doesn't. That's why he wants to get out. In the crate or in this confined space, he feels threatened. And that opens up a whole box of options for him to do. He can chew his crate, he can bark on his crate, he can paw his crate, he can do all these two things. And I agree with you. Crate is not a solution. We shouldn't crate dogs. I would say the majority of the reasons why people put the dogs in the crate is wrong and not appropriate. It's actually sometimes abusive. What we look for here is the dog to be safe and the dog to feel comfortable. And there's another story here that says dogs live in dens, and that's why they should live perfectly in crates. Wrong. They don't live in dens. The puppies are born in a safe place that is protected. It's not a hole and it's not a crate. It could be a corner. It could be a tire. It's a place where the mother feels her puppies are safe. Do we live in dens? Kind of, sort of ish, right? But it's our safe place. I come home, I feel safe. Now, just because of that, it's not okay to put me in a prison just because I was born in a den. Okay, so we want to be very careful here. However, sometimes dogs feel in a safe place that is enclosed and feel safe. Pretty good. They actually prefer it. I have a candidate here. He'd rather be in a crate than being outside of the crate, even if he has enough room to sleep, because he feels that confined area keeps him away from everything else. So if he gets stressed, he goes in there, he feels comfortable, I'll take it. Okay? I had another dog who didn't have a crate at all for him, and he was hiding in the closet. 1, 2, 3. He put himself in a dangerous position because once he go in there and the closet was tight, he would make a U-turn and trap himself, and then he wanted to break out. So even though the dog went alone, he's there, and he alone closed the door, he felt trapped because he didn't have any options. And this is where the skills come in, the troubleshooting skills. So if a dog doesn't have troubleshooting skills, he can end up in a situation that he feel worried. So, for example, you leave the house, everything is cool, the dog loves you, right? You love your dog, and you say, bye, honey, see you in a bit, and you close the door. And that dog starts destroying your house. What would be your next option? First of all, you're going to make sure it doesn't destroy your house, and obviously you will not make that go away like a miracle. You're going to have and resort to a place where your dog feels safe and he cannot destroy the house. You will enclose him in the kitchen, you'll enclose him in a hallway where he cannot do any damage, or you're going to enclose him in the bathroom where he maybe not do a lot of damage, right? Or you're going to buy a crate, and then you go to extreme crates. And I see this all the time where people refer to them, if your dog is breaking out, getting a bigger crate. Yeah, the concept is kind of okayish, but have you ever wondered that the dog is not really a jerk because he wants to destroy your crate, but your dog suffers from separation anxiety, severe separation anxiety, that needs help, and that needs serious help. There are so many root of behavior that looks like separation anxiety. For example, a dog is being conditioned through your behavior, that he has to be with you all the time because it becomes a job description. And your dog is a working dog. So obviously he takes that job very seriously. And then all of a sudden you make a turn and walk away from it and he cannot perform the job. He's going to panic because dogs perform certain behaviors to be accepted in their family. It's kind of like a service. Now all of a sudden you change your mind and you walk away. Is that fair to your dog? And not only that, you do then put him in a crate so he cannot definitely not do a job. And the dog will shut down. And all of a sudden, all these accumulated things just add up and becomes a trauma. And then we have other versions. We have stories where dogs start jumping on people. Okay? We see dogs that, right? I'm just popping up here all these comments of these guys. And where dogs feel the need to control the situations. And why do they need that? So you always see behaviors, for example, dogs are jumping on people. Dogs are jumping on dogs. Dogs are jumping on windows. Dogs are jumping on couches. And we say, such a jerk. You know, he wants to be dominant. He wants to be the alpha. Wow, that's fetched. Why would you fetch that part? Why would you think the dog is jumping on people is a dominance thing? Let's give it an example. A police officer pulls you over and he feels that you are a suspect. He feels that if he doesn't control the situation, you may eventually pull a gun. What would he do? He would try to control you. Is this because he's the alpha? Is it because he wants to dominate you? No, he wants to feel safe. He wants to make sure that nothing bad is going to happen of that situation. So he takes all these measures to make sure you're not getting shot and he doesn't get shot. So why would you think he will do that? Because he has previous experience. I mean, look at the news. These guys get shot, the police officers get shot, people get shot, everybody gets shot, and he has a gun and maybe the guy has a gun. So why not go the safe way? And dogs think the same way. So sometimes dogs want to feel safe. And they think they need to protect. So if we see a dog who feels safe in the house and people come in the house and they disturb that safety, the dog needs to control that situation. Because, and here comes, the dog doesn't know how the story will end just because the door knock. There are too many versions of it. First of all, his family members don't knock the door. Therefore, the only reason why a dog gets frustrated about the door because it's likely not a family member. Remember, family members come from the garage door? Yeah, right? Come from the back door. But nobody knocks at the door. So therefore, it must be a stranger that never been here before. Or the doorbell. How many of you guys ring the doorbell when you come home? Ding dong, honey, I'm here. Really? Right? And so we see that suddenly the dog, observing patterns, he recognized that bad things going to happen. A bad thing doesn't mean bad thing, but it's not a good thing because the guy is at the door, he talks with mom, I don't know who it is, I cannot get there, who knows who that is? That causes anxiety. The dog needs to know. And then finally that person comes in and that person doesn't behave like family. That is worrisome because suddenly the dog needs to control the situation before the situation controls him. So, when does the dog feel unsafe? Let's look at some numbers because I think you guys should know. The studies show that dogs and toddlers are touched similar to their caregivers. I'm going to hold on space for me here. 61% of dogs feel secure with caretakers. 39% of dogs feel insecure with caretakers. These proportions of secure and insecure classification, 61 and 39, were similar to those found in human toddlers. What does it exactly mean? It means that when dogs being adopted out from their families, which they had a secure attachment relationship and they feel safe, everything is safe, the family is safe, environment is safe, friends are safe because all around them they feel safe. They survived at least, right? Suddenly they're being adopted out, coming in the new home, and all these people are aliens to the dog. I mean, not aliens, okay, or not aliens. I mean, they are not family, so they're strangers, and so these strangers behave a certain way. They pick dog up with no consent. They do things to the dog with no consent. The dog doesn't understand the safety rules. There's no system in place yet for the dog actually. Oh, it feels like home. It's usually not. And so the reason why dogs feel unsafe is likely because of this 39%. They feel insecure. And insecure doesn't come only because you don't love them. Insecure happens sometimes because the environmental factors affect them so bad that they feel unsafe. Sometimes it's also the puppies were removed too early from the litter, so they didn't have a concept of safety. Some of them were born even in a factory. That is zero safety to the best. So we see that some dogs come also with pre-existing genetics where they feel unsafe in general. So dogs generally don't feel safe, but they feel more safe when they're puppies, and then they learn from the environment that it's really not safe going out there. There are snakes there, there are big animals there are eagles, you can get in trouble, okay? And so the second fear phase, for example, is responsible to make them feel not safe, because until then they feel totally safe. And then that period of time comes in where the dog learns that, hey, away from my family, actually dangerous thing can happen. Hey man, you need to defend yourself. It's not just everything, right? Safe. And you go in places and you have to establish new relationships. And if the relationship doesn't go well and all of a sudden you have an issue, you have to fight for your space. You have to fight for your... So we see all of a sudden that the dog learns to do certain things to get things safe. Now, when we talk about different types of dogs being jerk, sometimes it comes down to dogs just don't feel safe and they do things. Now, let's say, for example, a dog jumps on a person. We can call it disorganized, controlling attachment behavior. What happens here? The dog shows a behavior because he doesn't have a clue how this relationship will be. So he controls the relationship by jumping on it. So we have a disorganized, caring, controlling relationship, which means the dog is affectionate, and affection will be control. Some of you guys had this experience. Your mothers, your dads. Oh, I love you. You're going to leave me. I'm going to die. Ooh. Or, who loves you more than I do? Honey, nobody loves you than I do. You're going to go with this partner? You don't know he's going to love you like I do. And so we see there are all these controlling features around that. Dogs are similar. So if a dog feels like insecure, he tries to be affectionate, so he gets affection in return. So if another dog comes over to you and wants affectionate too, that becomes an issue because the dog's safety and control is being challenged. And then we have this redirected aggression. So I want to be very careful about stuff. Right? So dogs jump on family of people. So here is a good point. Thank you for mentioning it. Sometimes dogs learn rituals and routines. Just because dogs from very beginning, they jump on the mother and father because they feel insecure that if they don't, they will not get fed. So it becomes a greeting ritual, but then it diminishes because nobody wants to be jumped on. So if the parenting doesn't work nice, the dog continues that pattern, and every time he sees something and he gets excited about it, he jumps on it. So again, the dog is not being a jerk. He continues something that worked for him in the past, and he believes that's the best way out. So using shock collars, prong collars, punishment, choker chain, throw chains, water bottles, all these things, all it can cause is even more stress and more reactivity and more insecurity on this behavior. And what it does, it escalates it. Okay? So what else do we have? Come up with something. Ask a question like, what else do you think dogs being jerks about? I know people who think that a dog being on the bed and growling, thank you, dogs being on the bed and growling, they're dominant. And you can be very jerk about it, right? So every time you're laying on your bed and your dog is on the bed and your child comes over to the bed, the dog is like, "Rrrr." And you're like, did you just bark at my kid? Are you an idiot or something? Get off my bed. What else do dogs do on the bed? You want to go to bed, and all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I love this king size bed, and you don't even have space to get in there. And I'm like, hey buddy, come on, how would you jump off the bed? And he's like, no. And I'm like, really? Get off my bed. And you grab him by the collar, boom, and all of a sudden you have a bite. How will you take that? I know people get actually very offended by it. Their relationship is crushing. They feel they're disrespected. Not actually recognizing that grabbing a dog's collar at that point is an aggressive behavior in itself. Your dog hasn't done anything yet. All he said, I'm not gonna move. Is he a jerk about it? No. Have you ever thought that the reason why your dog is on your bed, A, is because it's comfortable, B, it's safe, and D, he is in pain? Ooh. Most times the dogs go into those remote areas where there is comfort and quiet and dark. They want to feel safe. So they go there and retreat because they are in pain. Now dogs don't yell and whine, I'm in pain. Okay? They're not taking any pills either. What they do is they kind of go low on their system. They want to recreate their health. So they go low, they don't consume, they focus on their thing that need to be healed, and they work on it. And so you come in at night and you want to get up, and then the dog has to get up, which means he has to go through pain to get off the bed. Yeah, and then you go after the collar. What would that be? Any ideas? How would the dog feel if your dog is in pain and you grab the collar and you want the dog to get off the bed? What if your dog actually is very obedient and you never grab the collar and you just call him off? Get off the bed, go to your bed, and he doesn't move. And like, he's being a jerk again. Get off the bed, man. And then it becomes an argument and a dispute. You see where I'm coming with this? And so if you see anybody who's complaining about the dog being a jerk, don't be a crybaby about it. Don't feel a victim. Understand why your dog is in that state of mind. Understand what is the reason my dog is a jerk. And maybe my dog is not really a jerk. Maybe my dog is in pain. Maybe my dog has anxiety. Maybe my dog has a fear of death. Maybe my dog is hungry. Maybe my dog is thirsty. Maybe if I put my dog in a crate, my dog feels his food and water access is being restricted. And maybe he gets anxious about it, and anxious leads him to be fear of death, and then he defecates and pees himself because that's what's going to happen before he dies. Whoa. And you want to get a bigger crate, a stronger crate, a crate with locks and bolts screwed down on the floor? Maybe you want to cover it up? Yeah, think about that again. And how about those dogs who jump on you and you kick their knee with the knee and use a spray bottle and chocolate and they still jump on you? And of course you turn your back and you back off, you stupid dog, asshole. Sorry. What if that dog is so insecure that he tries to get your attention because he wants to tell you, oh my God, I'm feeling so miserable. Do something. And you're like, I don't care. I'm going to turn my back on you. And then the dog gets so frustrated, he's going to bite you. What if it is a protocol? It's kind of like a ritual. The dog thinks that is what you do. Every time he jumps on you, basically you touch him. Obviously that works. He jumps on you, you touch him, he gets affection. That's it, right? Even if you push him away, it's still touching. It doesn't matter what money or currency you're giving me. You grab your wallet, I'm getting paid. Why else would you grab your wallet when I'm asking you for money, right? Am I not making sense here? What do you think? Is this what we're talking about? Okay? Do we see that? Is this really happening? Or am I just talking to myself here? And let's see what's subsequent. Okay, things look good here. So, if you like it, you want to share it. If you learn something from it, you want to share it. No, I don't want to keep talking. I mean, you guys here for having a coffee. I'm not reading a book. Okay? So it's important. Many people do not know that. They make this assumption. And there are a bunch of people out there, not a bunch, a lot of bunches, like literally a whole army of people who basically help the dogs being abused. So she need help. Okay, Sophie, she barks a lot more now because she has been blind. Oh, here we go. So the reason why she barks is blind, and she's feeling insecure for the 1.5 years due to sorry. Oh man, sorry for that. How do you suggest? What are you suggesting with her barking? I do understand that her other senses are highlighted. Yeah, heightened. Sorry to be correct. So the first thing you need to do is basically, because she's blind, her whole other systems are hyper. She's hyper listening. Everything that doesn't make any sense, doesn't create a picture, causes the dog to be scared. Okay? Now, we have to say, and I know your dog, Sophie, he's a senior dog. Okay? Nibbles is a senior dog. And she has issues that needs nutritional support first for her system to calm down. And I would say going through homeopathic route and going into helping your dog with supplements to calm down that edge and this sensitivity to everything, calm it down a little bit. And then eventually adding some additional sounds in your house that are covering a lot of side noises. And we need to understand the dogs hear a lot of noises we don't hear. So if you do a sound, let's call it a sound, how do you call these things? Man, I totally missed the word now. Anyway, if you create a sound cloud around your dog and camouflaging those side noises, and pay attention when your dogs get tense before he barks. And now you want that conditioning. And if he hears, it's perfect. Okay? Sound machine, yeah. Are you from the 70s? Sound machine? No, I'm kidding. I think we should look for conditioning the dog that sound is an announcement of something good is going to happen. And so you may want to start using a clicker, and one click equals reward, one click equals reward. And then you start clicking and then making a noise, and then white noise machine. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you for helping me out here. I'm feeling like being alone on my desk. Thank you for the technical support here. And so start conditioning the dog that sound is an announcement. You hear that sound? Click. Good job. Here's a treat. So that announces the click, and the click announces the food. So we're going to create that connections so the dog recognizes those no bad things. Okay? So that would be a suggestion. But it is always individual dogs. And so if I have a better background story about that barking, then it will help a lot, especially that we can help with supplements and herbal treatments without medication, really, to help that dog out a little bit. Good. Okay. We talked a lot today. Did I miss anything? No. My dog. Well, some dogs, Bonnie, some dogs have trauma. And some dogs have trauma from their previous home that we don't know of. And I know dogs who are traumatized getting in the car because the last time they went in the car, they were dropped off in the shelter. And the previous time they went in the car, they went to the vet's office and they got their shots. And that was scary. And the time before that, they went to the groomer and they cut their nails, and that was hurtful. So every time they get in the car, something scary is going to happen. And so dogs recognize that everything happens at the door, scary things happening. So, for example, with Bonnie, the one thing that you want to start with is identifying what exactly is the dog really reacting to. Is the dog reacting for the person coming to the house, or is he reacting for the person walking up the staircase? And what if the dog reacts if a person drives with a car towards the house? So you want to find the primary trigger, what makes the dog. Did I hear something now? Did you hear it? Oh my God. Wow. Is it an earthquake? What is it? Oh my God. I think it's an earthquake. No, I'm kidding. I'm just testing you. Okay? So you see, if I trigger you, you get triggered too, right? What is the good trick? What if you have a second dog in the house and the second dog worries? And dogs are emotionally intelligent, so they can feel each other. So if one dog feels scared and then the door knocks, obviously the reason why the dog is scared is because of the door knocks. So the environment is basically triggering the dog and help the dog remember that strange and bad things happening through the door. So these are things you want to start eliminating and conditioning. Two people really need to ring on the bell. Two people really need to knock at the door. This way you kind of eliminate the worst of the worst. And then just to find out, and then conditioning the dog. Very careful with conditioning. Help the dog associate that certain things are having a good end. And the good end starts from going to your bed and lay down. You want to meet that thing that makes a noise? Lay down, and then we go check it out, right? Nothing to worry about. But if the dog barks and we run to the window, oh my God, who can it be? Why is my dog barking? You actually confirm the reason why he's barking. And so we reward the dog himself. And I know some people start barking themselves. The dog barks and they bark, and the dog barks and they bark. So everybody barks because the other one barks. Now, who is the first one to start and who's the smart guy to stop? Make sense? So, do you like these shows? Do you have coffee? What would you like us to talk about next coffee time? Right? So we see there's a whole pattern of things. Right. So what you want to do, you want to teach your dog one word of the person equals one treat. Okay? So what you want to do, Kelly, you want to have your partner on the other hand, online, make a Zoom call, a Facebook call, whatever call that is, that you're on a voice very loud and clear, and the person on the other side says, hey, and you toss a treat on the floor. Now your partner can see you moving the hand. And so next time he can hear also the dog barking. And I would like you to do that. Hey equals treat. And I start building up words and sentences. And that ends up to a treat. So the dog recognizes that thing that talks around, and I cannot see it, which is strange. Why cannot I see it? It must be somewhere here. Is actually a fun thing to do. The other thing that we can do is use headphones. And what if you picking up the phone is already the trigger? So how about you start picking up the phone and toss a treat? Or before you pick up the phone, you give your dog a treat. Here, for example, I'm not really advertising, right? Yeah. I use those no hides, right? They are chicken strips, ingredients, chicken, brown rice, flour, organic eggs, olive oil. It's totally organic. I can actually eat it, not really. And you give your dog something to chew on because you will be busy on your phone. So your dog doesn't he's not being a jerk. He's just afraid you're not paying attention. And you know what's going to happen if you don't pay attention. He's going to die. So we're going to change his mind. Says, hey, you know what? I don't have attention for a couple of moments. Here's something for you to thrive. And your dog will like, when are you go picking up the phone again? Because I love that crap, right? So I think we talked a lot. My coffee's empty. And household dog on dog aggression. Oh, Kim, you're pulling big papers here. Okay, we can talk about that. But that is a long one because we have to talk about dog relationships. And we have to talk about disputes. It's actually a whole workshop which I have coming up on the 19th. You should join. So I have a whole workshop about how to keep dogs safe after adoption. Like, what's the recipe? What's the key for a successful adoption? And we're going to talk about there in that workshop. It's about almost 2 hours. I'm going to share the link in the comments. So you can join and you can see how is this built up, how dogs come in with trauma, how dogs learn to connect, how dogs need to build first secure attachment relationship. And how many times I can tell you that even dog-to-dog aggression happened because there are no rules and no things in place. And because they don't have anybody to trust, so they think they have to fight things out. Yeah, is my no, it's on my website, which is holisticdogtraining.org/events. Click there and up you go. I know people get like, oh my God, that's cheap. It's ridiculous cheap. Consider what you get. So considering that it's going to save your dog's life after adoption, everybody should join that class. It's a deep class. I know some rescue have it actually mandatory for people to read before the adoption. Nice guys, I appreciate that. And they have seen reduction of surrendering rates or return rates high, no return rates or minimum. Okay. What else? Dog is aggressive with strangers, but only if they come in back door. Yeah. Well, who's coming in? Who's coming in from the back door? The dog has certain expectations, and those expectations are not met. So those people, strangers who come from the back door, I call them intruders. Prove me wrong. Good for you, Bonnie. Yep. So you guys should share the class because literally, I know many people who surrender the dog for stupid things, and they buy into that story that 333, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and they think the dog will heal himself. They don't even recognize the dog has an issue. And so vulnerable time is lost, that they cannot get back like that. Well, yeah. However, I agree they have met from them, but just because I met them doesn't mean we're friends, right? Just because the dog doesn't expect them to come in. So I would say first, have them come from the front door. That's a must. Lock that back door, okay? Because the dog is startled. What makes a friend a friend? A friend who is consistently there. A friend who respects the rules, okay? Now have those friends coming from the front door first. What you chewing, buddy? You like your bone? Mugsy. Have the people start creating a meeting rituals. You come from a back door, this is what you're going to do. Okay, you can announce yourself. Hey, it's Frank. Hey, buddy, come over. I got a treat for you. It's a friends. What friends do from a back door. The same thing they do from a front door. Make sense? So mine sniffs for days if she doesn't like the scent. She does fight and goes outside when people come. Yeah, this is something we should work on, and um, working on these kind of things because they're important. Hey, Catherine. Hello to England. We're almost done here. Man, you're late. I know you're busy. You're doing all your stuff. Catherine is a very well beloved colleague from England, and she's a behaviorist. She is a nutritionist. She is a herbalist. Oh man, she has a whole roll of credentials. We should get her back. How many of you have watched our coffee show with Catherine? Anyone? So you should look at it on YouTube. It's on a YouTube channel. Go to your YouTube, go to my playlist and check with coffee with behaviorists. You're gonna watch. And if you guys really want her to be back with us, post in a comment. There you go. We have already a volunteer. Good, right? So I love having colleagues on the show because we talk a lot, and it's not just me talking. Right? There's so many good people out there who have really a good clue about stuff. Their coffee is really strong, right? And so they talk, and we just know about stuff. We kind of share information. It's not blah blah blah. It's non. They're really serious stuff, and I like Catherine because she's really into studies, and she brings studies down to earth. Yeah, and we really had good stuff going on. So, well, maybe we can convince her to come up next Saturday. You know, in England, I don't know what time is it in England right now. It's 10:16 in Eugene, Oregon. What time is it in your place, guys? All of you who are watching here. Right now, it's 10:17 Pacific time. What time is it at your place? So kind of get an idea. Do you guys want the show to be later or 9 o'clock as we started? Usually is fine, except of today that I kind of missed the time because I was taking care of my dogs. And I totally passed the time. You see? 1:17. Ooh, that's late. Oh, you guys have lunch. Okay. Well, you have to tell me where you are. I don't know where you are. So how about you say it's 12:17 and I'm there? And by the way, you guys are a little bit off with your times. What's going on with those 2 minutes? 3 minutes. So, Victoria, where are you from? Yep, good. Here we go. See, Kim is in Florida. You're in Ohio. Gail Schumacher. We don't know. See, okay. So it's a good time. It's lunchtime. I hope nobody's hungry. Good. So I'll let you guys go. It was nice chatting with you. I love your comments and I love your engagement. It helps me a lot. You know, if you guys have questions, I can answer them. If you don't ask any questions, I don't know where you are and I don't know what you're talking about because I don't see what you're saying. So let's here we go. Now I can see who you are because all I see there are 12 Googles, 12 eyes up there, and I don't know who you are. It's like talking to somebody you don't know, right? And we're sitting in a coffee, having coffee. I would like to meet you. Kelly, great question. I do have a mentoring program. I have a mentoring program for fosters, and I have a mentoring program for professionals, and I have a mentoring program for people who just love dogs. So there's many mentoring programs. There are many mentoring programs for people with pet lovers. Let's call it dog parents. Are 7-week programs, and then we have more complex programs. Well, 6 weeks, and then we have half of a year, and all of them are going so deep into stuff that even though behaviorists and trainers have done the classical training, classical behavior, they learn a lot. So these talks are basically every Saturday with barely exceptions. Yep. Bonnie, you can share your knowledge here because You have experience the hard way. So yeah, they're 100% online, but they're hands-on. So just because it's online doesn't mean it's not hands-on. Actually, very intense. And I remember Bonnie complaining about it. Oh, this is so difficult. Yeah, it's not easy, man. Things are tough, and sometimes we have to really uh, work for things. And working with dogs, it's not as easy. It's not just working with a textbook. There's so many books out there. You can buy a book and the other book and the other book, but what of that information is actually valid, right? What information is really, really consistent? Catherine, yeah, I agree with you. It's not easy, but there is a system to that madness. And I come a long way, and my purpose here was basically to share with people how I got there. And I was in the wrong field for many years. Okay. I was not a good trainer. I'm not proud of that particular time, but I appreciate that time. I appreciate that time because it helped me evolve and go through the same process. If somebody tells me about the shock collar, prong collar, e-collar, shock collar, whatever, I know where he's coming from. I was there. Okay. If a person tells me my dog is a jerk, I know exactly why he thinks that. I was there. If a person says, I'm struggling with my foster, I know I was there. Okay. If you tell me my dog bit me for no reason, I know I was there too. So what I want to share with people is it's not impossible. If you can raise a child without having a PhD, right, you can raise a dog. But you have to have your senses in place. You have to be in control of your emotions. And there's a whole thing, and those people who do the mentoring program with me, the first thing we work on is, man, you have to get your shit together. You cannot just expect a dog to do things and you're not there. You cannot expect to sit and you are stressed. If you're not knowing how to communicate with dogs, why are you using those tools that actually do nothing else than making it worse? Exactly. So I know people who are super studied, okay, Catherine, and you can actually bring this down to earth and work with it. And I know people who are super studied and they only studied, and that's it. And if you ask them in the field, what do you see? They come this with a textbook situation. The dog does this, the dog does that, and he says, "Don't you see the rest of it? Why do you see a tail and you don't see the head? Why don't you see the whole thing at the same time?" So, and I need to make things straight. Science is only here to confirm what pioneers have cleared the path for, right? The science is not showing the path. The science is paving the path that somebody like you and me have worked on and cleared through getting hurt, getting dirty, doing stuff, hard work. And then 5 years later, the study comes out and you're like, yes, I knew it. It's confirmed. Now I can go deeper. Now I can make a left turn. Now I can make a right turn. Right? And I'm coming from an industrial engineering. I'm an engineer from trade, where things are a little bit more difficult because things have to be mathematic. Things have to be organized and controlled. Everything has to be control. And I brought that into dog training, and I totally failed because sometimes you have to let go of control. Yeah, you hear right. Sometimes you have to let go of control because you cannot control everything. We see our nature, we try to control nature, and when we did, we screwed up. So control is not the key. My wife said something very nice yesterday. You have to behave like an octopus. You have to become available for nature, and you'll be able to camouflage. But camouflage, not hiding, but become one with nature. Be constantly aware, being in alignment with your environment, which means you have to be 100% conscious. with your environment. And being conscious with your environment, you have to be conscious with yourself, because you have to always compare yourself with the environment without feeling predatory, okay? Or you shouldn't feel more or less, okay? That's the magic of nature. Nature is not mean to you. Nature doesn't do things to you. Nature does what it does. A tree doesn't care what you do. It does what it does. Well, you want to cut the tree? Gonna fall on your head? That's your choice. The tree doesn't choose to fall on your head. Gravity does. So if you do things to your dog, the dog will do what he always would do. It's not because of you. It's because of how he feels about it. So you may do good things, but you may do wrong things. You may do things with love. You may do things with anger. But bottom line is the dog will do something because he feels a certain way. And our goal as behaviorists or trainers is to understand why the dog feels that way. And when we understand how and why he feels that way, then we want to change the way he feels about things without force. I don't like conditioning a dog to like something he doesn't like. I want him to be able to predict what he likes. And if he likes it, he has still a choice to like it or not. Right? But putting my dog in a crate because I don't like it, rewarding my dog and conditioning him backdoors to like something he actually doesn't like, and I'm luring him in a situation, and then he ends up, but I don't like it. I'm hungry, but I don't like it. I like your affection, but I don't like the treat. And I like your affection, but I don't like the crate. So we have to be very clear that we have to always come with consent. And just like with children, you cannot take consent of a child. Okay? That's a slippery slope there. Just because the child said yes doesn't mean it's okay. Been there. It's been done to me. Okay? Lure me in the situation. Just because the dog takes the treat and goes in his crate doesn't mean he likes the crate. But that's another story. We can talk about that for another coffee. Because my coffee is done and I need more coffee. And I think you guys should go do your stuff now, right? So thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you guys being attentive. Thank you, Catherine, taking time and checking in on us. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Who else here? Kim, Kelly, Gail, Nicole, Bonnie, Victoria. Oh man, so many names. I'm scrolling down here. I lost contact. Who didn't I say yet? Did I miss anyone? Okay. To all of you, have a great rest of your weekend. And yeah, it's Pride Day, and I appreciate all my fellow friends out there from the community. And love you all. Bye-bye.